A lot of people come into our office with some kind of pain or injury, and there was no known cause to it. They don't know what happened. As we dive into it a little bit, we realize it's an overuse injury that caused it. And there's actually an overuse injury cycle that is really important to understand. And I want to show that to you today. Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Christie, Boca Raton chiropractor, and I'm going to show you what happens in overuse injuries, or what we might call cumulative injury, right? So not all of your pain or injuries have to have a traumatic cause. And so let's go and show you a little screen share here of a diagram that explains how this pain comes about, even though you feel like it came from nowhere and nothing caused it. There always is a cause, and we're going to dive into that here. So this cumulative injury cycle here, you can see we could start at one, like an acute injury. That would be some kind of traumatic injury, and that can definitely lead to this, but we're going to skip that for the sake of what we're talking about today. We're talking about the repetitive injury, right? So we're going to start right up here. We have a repetitive injury happening. You're sitting too much, you're playing a lot of golf, you're working out a lot with bad biomechanics, you're running, anything that would be overuse in nature. That's going to lead to some muscles becoming weak and then some muscles becoming tense or tight, right? So when we say soft tissues here, we're talking about muscles, ligaments, and tendons. Every muscle in your body either tends to become tight, like say a hamstring or a calf, and then other muscles tend to become weak, like say the glutes or the abdominals, right? There's just a couple examples, but every muscle is going to either tend to become weak or tend to become tight. And when you have an overuse activity, and sitting is an overuse activity occurring, those weak muscles are going to get weaker and the tight muscles are going to get tighter. And you're ultimately going to have some muscular imbalances happening. When that happens, you're going to increase the friction, pressure, and tension on the soft tissues, right? So, a good example is going to be a lot of people get these trigger points or knots in their upper trapezius or their neck muscles, right? You're sitting a lot, forward head posture. You're getting a lot of tension right there. Over time, the body's going to lay down, uh, basically is going to get a little bit of a decreased circulation to the area, a little bit of swelling, and then it's going to, and that's right here, that constant tension and pressure. If you're getting this happening consistently, it's going to lead to this decreased circulation to the area. And then the body's going to lay down adhesive fibers or scar tissue. Some of you have heard that word scar tissue before, and that's going to represent itself as, could be adhesions or scar tissue, could be trigger points, could be really tight muscles. And what happens when a muscle, tendon, or ligament becomes kind of riddled with this adhesive fibers or say scar tissue, it's going to then cause that muscle to then either become more tight or weaker. Like if the upper trapezius, it tends to become tight. So when you get these trigger points in there over time because of that constant tension in that area, it's going to then lead that muscle to get even tighter, and it's going to get tighter and tighter. And then ultimately, what happens, this cycle just keeps on going, right? When that muscle gets tighter, then it causes more tension, friction, or pressure. The friction could be something like, you get elbow tendonitis. That could be one of the frictions you might see there. Pressure might be, pressure on your low back. There's a lot of different areas. You can use these words synonymously as well, but it's going to get worse. And then it's going to get worse. It just kind of goes and it lays dormant for a while. And you may not know this repetitive injury cycle is happening, but it is in a lot of ways. And then ultimately, something very benign or sleeping, or just it comes about. It finally, the straw that breaks the camel's back, and the body sends the alarm system, which is pain. And then that's when you realize you have some kind of injury going on. But this cycle was happening over time. And when you come into someone like us, our first goal is to, obviously get you out of pain. We do a lot of muscle work and rehab and adjustments because we got to tackle this here. So the formulation of adhesive fibers or scar tissue, we're going to get in there and try to really work that out, get some blood flow to the area, right? So down here, decreased circulation. We're going to try to get some blood flow to the area That's going to help with the healing process. And as we're releasing those tight muscles, tendons, or ligaments, then that's going to decrease the friction, pressure, and tension on that area, which will then allow those muscles to function as they should. They won't become as tight or as weak. And we'll need to do some mobility work or some stability work to make sure that we activate the right muscles or get some relaxation of it. And that's what we do here. And that's how we tackle these overuse injuries. And that's a big part of what we see in our practice. And that is that overuse injury cycle that's going on in your body. And that's why it's good to do preventative things, whether it's in the gym or body work or performance care in an office like ours, to try to get ahead of it so that that vicious cycle doesn't turn into pain. And so that's the cumulative injury cycle. If you want to stay ahead of that, or you need to get rid of the pain and injury you have now, call our office at 561-997-8898 or visit our website at healthfitchiro.com and schedule online.